His washing is up in the background, making the whole damn jet bomber simulation go wrong. It would appear that I'm a little bit blue. Let's sort out the blue. I can do that. This is going to be cracking, people. We have got His Majesty. Yeah, it was a long time ago when he was flying. It was in the time of King Edward. Let's turn that up a little bit. Let's click that one. And when I go like this, oh, there you go. Then turn that one down a bit. They are. Yellow is a bit better than blue. Are you allowed to compare colours? I suppose it's all right as long as it's not skin. Whoa, watch out. Oh, edgy stuff. Right, no out today because it's too hot. Although the fan has got to be turned down. So with any luck, a little bit of organisation, a little bit of planning, a little bit of trust, my man Tim is going to turn up, but I told him I'd have to get some housekeeping out the way. So don't forget, we might have a guest this week. There'll be no advertising it. Oh no, this is my new technique. You've got to see the shows. And then if I suddenly go, oh, we've got a guest who wants to join us. That is when you blow your beans. There's no better way of saying it, really. It will be incredible. 50-50, maybe 60-40, not in our favour that's going to happen. But honestly, if it does, it's gonna be, lovely day, a lovely day. Right, I've got to get the grift out of the way quickly. And listen, do the grift good today, yeah? Because I've got a guest on and I like to make it look like I'm doing well. So let's just make sure the grift is good. Oh, what's all that racket? Why am I hearing my own voice? I haven't got my cans in. I'm all nervous. Those of you who saw it when Tim came on before, it was the beautiful blossoming of a love affair. Let me check it. Hang on. Oh, straight away it works. I love it when that happens. I don't know how it works. Sometimes you put them in and it knows what you're doing. Sometimes I put them in and it works on my phone. Other times it makes a different decision. It turns out I'm tuned in to 1922. Yeah, 1916, the October Revolution. Revelation? Well, we're all going to be taken up. Look at Pax Max. Housekeeping, Bosman. I know. Well, of course, I don't like to mix business with leisure, but I know the bloke well, and I'm in that game. So, yeah, a sad day. Respect to you, Bill. I've spoken to him, obviously. Nice one, Pax Max. I'll leave that on the screen so that if none others come, when Tim arrives, they'll see that, oh, yeah. You know what? I was watching Salty Cracker. Now, in fairness, Salty Cracker had about 20,000 people. Maybe I was asleep at the time, but it looked like he had about 20,000 live. I mean, this bloke is smashing it. And when he gets a bit risky, he says, right, and he knows when he hits that point, he says, see me on Odyssey, link in the description. And then he drags his YouTube crowd over to Odyssey. Now, because YouTube is what YouTube does, maybe 3/4 of them, maybe half of them go. But his super chat goes 20, 20, 10, 50, 50, 100, 20. He even said that they're doing the audit for Texas. They're auditing places where the Democrats won because the Democrats were going, oh, we'll audit Texas. How about that? So Trump and his lot have gone, no, we'll audit Texas. And the Democrats are like, oh, you bastards. And And Salty Cracker said, have you seen my super chats lately? He said, I'll pay for it. He said, send me the check. I was thinking, and look, this isn't me saying, oh, why aren't I getting super chats like Salty Cracker? When you got 20,000 people watching, yeah, I understand. I imagine actually, if you checked out the ratios, I'll probably do about as well as him. Anyway, I think we can describe him as my one-time boyfriend. It was a one-night stand. You know, he came on the stream. There was a twinkle in his little eye. I can see it. He's shaking his head there's a little digital green room here, and he's got a smile. Oh, he's doing a little dance. I mean, he's on fire already. Right, so let me just get the grift out of the way. There's one on the screen. Can you see that there? Can you see that, Tim? A little bit of donation. Haven't even started yet. Nice one for that, Pax Max. Oh, hang on a minute. What's that? Oh, what's that? Oh, hello, Cheryl Peters. Good Monday, Dangerfield Grift. Lovely, lovely. See that, Tim? See that? Just rolling in it is. You know, because our man Tim is also I don't like the term motivational speaker, and he's probably just cringed at that as well. But that's what I want to get into that side of Tim today. So you can donate using Super Chat. That's a $sign at the bottom of the chat down there. Entropy. I'm about to put the link in the description. No, in the chat, but it's already in the description if you want to use Entropy. If you use Entropy, you don't give YouTube a cent. Nothing, nada, nil, nish. I'm about to pin the Entropy link to the top of the chat. So that's done. Entropy link things do go on the screen. If you want to ask Tim anything while we're flirting with each other for the next hour, nice one, Ian. Appreciato. I'll try and get your questions to him. Super chats will obviously get priority because that's money. That's how money works. Makes the world go round, doesn't it? I don't think I've got anything else to say. I think it's time for a swig of water. Quick rinse out of the mouth. Get the old Picari sweat off the mug. Before we get him on, let's have a look at him in action. Let's have a little look at him in action. His YouTube channel is now got more subscribers than me, which is always nice. This is what he's been doing because he's actually, listen to my voice, the nodules, man. Tim will be doing most of the talking. Don't worry, it won't be too growly. He does flight simulations. And I'll tell you what, they've come on a long way since my 16K ZX Spectrum. Let's check out a bit of Tim doing a bit of his... Because he can fly these jets. He can actually do it. Imagine that. Imagine actually being able to fly a plane. I'm going to ask him about Sky King and that other fella who nicked a plane. The shoeless... What was he called? The shoeless thief or something. Anyway, here we go, Timmy boy.
Now I need to start the engine. So we are HP off. Check HP off. We are HP off. Thanks, Chief. You the man or woman or man woman, whatever we're doing today. I'm not too sure. I've lost track of the whole pronoun bit.
I wonder what I picked this bit.
Right, engine start. That's probably racist to say that, isn't it? I have
Hey,
no idea.
there you go. Out of all the bits I could have picked. Ladies and gentlemen, actual jet bomber pilot, Tim Davies. Yo.
Chris Dog, what's going on?
Good. Well, we're going to start right there with Chris Dog. I'm hearing Chris Dog. I'm hearing Fam a lot. I mean,
Fam.
What's going on? Nerves?
Chris Danger Horse. Mate, you never call. Like, we went through some serious stuff together. I never hear from you. Do I? Do I hear from you? Do you write ever? No. You expect me to come on your podcast? Have you got other podcast guests I don't know about? You want to tell me something? Is that what it is?
I have spoken to your wife a few times.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, she does speak to a lot of men, actually. I'm a little bit concerned. It shouldn't be. Your earpiece in your ears, by the way. You lost them the other day, didn't you? I was watching one of your ones.
Mate, I couldn't find them.
That's where they are. They're in your ears. Brilliant. How are you doing?
It's worse than that because they've actually got noise cancellation. I mean, I don't like to shill Apple products, but they're life-changing. They actually sample the sound in the exterior and then cut that out of what you can hear. I can't hear anything outside now, and they really work. So losing them with that is double bad. That's like losing your glasses, but they're sunglasses. You know, so why is everything dark?
You're literally in your own echo chamber, aren't you? You couldn't have made more of an echo chamber for yourself. Really.
Yeah, in so many ways. Right, can I have an audio check? Can everyone hear myself?
Mic check 1 2. Can you hear me loud?
Come on, do it like you would. Tim, how would you do it if you were in a proper jet, wartime situation? What is your first point of vocal contact once you're up in the air? What would you actually say?
Do you want me to tell you the truth here, or do you want me to tell you something that you're like and find funny? Because we can do both.
We can do both.
We can do both.
The funny first, make me laugh.
Mic check 1 2.
Can you imagine how much is one of those jets cost you? 50 million?
Yeah, which one are we talking about? Well, the little one over here, the little one over there. She was 28. The one on the bottom there was 60. I don't even know what is money.
What is money? So you're in a 60 million roughly dollar jet, and you're like at a gig. Dum check 1 2.
Yeah. Mic check 1 2. Come in, hound dog.
You all right down there, fam?
You don't normally say anything when you're at war, because then the enemy can hear you, can't they? Because they're clever, and you want to kill you.
I am not a soldier.
It's true.
You know, did I tell you before that I did want to be? I wanted to be a soldier. My dad done national service, and the few photographs he had, I was really into it. And then it was LSD that changed my mind.
Done a lot of future soldiers and current soldiers by the sounds of things. I mean, everyone sort of wants to be a soldier, don't they? I think you just want to get tested a little bit, like when you're young, don't you? And then some make the mistake of actually going in and doing it for real.
I do think I get a bit of that from you. I get a bit of regret's too strong, but I do sense a bit that it wasn't maybe what you thought it was, or
you don't know when you're a kid. You don't know when you're a kid, do you? You don't know. No, if you look at regret, I don't really regret anything. I'm glad I'm alive still, because a lot of my friends aren't. Well, that's kind of like, that's the era we lived through, you know what I mean? But and actually, don't get me wrong, looking at it now, I'm outside, I can look back at what the service is, and we can all be very we can look back and be very patriotic towards it, and I think it's a good thing. I really do, because I do think we have, in comparison to other countries, our services are very, well, they're a bit depleted the cash right now, but I think they are very well disciplined, managed, and everything else. However, the government structure above it probably needs to be called into question a little bit, but we talked about that before, haven't we?
Tim, just to give people a bit of context, we've got a lot of new people here who weren't there before. How long did you serve? How long did you serve?
20 years in the end. Yeah.
20 years. And I confuse you as a jet fighter. You were a jet bomber.
Yeah, so I wasn't a fighter pilot. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm a bomber pilot. I plan stuff, go to war, do real missions. No, that jet down here.
Is that a thing between bombers and fighter pilots, that you're a little bit more?
Fighter pilots. Don't get me wrong. It is what it is. I know actually everyone's all the same anyway. You know what I mean? The thing about a fighter pilot is they will just jump in, smoke a few cigarettes, jump into their jets, and they'll go and do their stuff. But then they have a massive long debrief about who did what and where are we here. Bomber pilots have like a massive plan. Then we go and destroy worlds. Okay, move mud, change lives, and then we come back and everyone's like, tick, 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 bar, go, and that was it. So it's just a different way around, whether you spend 3 hours chatting about what you've done or whether you spend 3 hours chatting about what you're going to do. But everyone's the same. It's all good.
No, that's really interesting. I watch a lot of Jocko, and I find this a lot. What just happened then, I see a lot. There'll be like a light bit of sort of digging or ribbing of some kind of difference, whether it's in your own unit or whether it's Army against Navy. And then they all apologise and go, no, it's all right, really. But they still get the dig in. There has, you've still let me know that the bombers think they're a little bit better than the fighter pilots. Even though you went, but we're all the same and it's all good. I
found it more interesting, Chris. You know what I mean? I liked... I never get it. I mean, I teach on a sim now, and yet some of the sorties we do, we just sit at 20 or 30,000 feet in a circle. And guys love that stuff. They all love it. They all love the air combat. But for me, it's the weirdest sphere I want to be in. Okay, I want to be down, this high off the ground, bombing stuff and getting shot at. And that was what was interesting to me. And now it's not interesting anymore because everyone sits up there 40,000 feet or something laser guided bombs and that kind of stuff. And that's you know.
Are you going for this stream in a standing position?
Man, don't sit. You know what I mean? Never sit. All right, that's it.
Is it wrong for a civilian to salute? Maybe I've done something wrong then.
I don't know. There we go.
How do you salute, Tim? How do you salute properly? Because I think I've got that from movies. Let's assume, and again now I think I might be doing something else you're not meant to do. Let's assume I'm your ranking superior.
All right, go on in.
All right. So I just sort of walk towards you.
What's up, Chris?
Is that it?
You're my superior, are you? You're my superior?
Oh, yeah, general.
Walking towards you then. Look at us walking.
All right.
Hello, sir. And then if I was in the Air Force, I'd do that. Flat.
Okay,
open.
flat.
If I was in the Navy, I'd do this one, like this. So,
all right. So
you can do whatever you want.
I do that. That's the one I know. Do you know that?
That suits you, strange enough. It's made for you, that one, yeah.
That's the Cub Scout. People.
Use that when you go and get petrol at the gas station or something. Use that. You know, when you pick up a prescription or something, always I would use that. You get a lot more service, I reckon, if you use that. Trust me on this.
I know, I'm going for it. Cheryl Peters.
They're making it rain, aren't they? They're making it rain on you. Look at this. They're loving you.
I can't concentrate for cash. Cheryl Peters has Me Too'd me. I see what you've done there, Cheryl Peters, you lovely. Thank you very much. Jack London says you always, so all the time, sound a bit like Paul Merton.
Paul Merton, God, that's back in the day, isn't it?
Have I got news for you, Tim? Have I got news for Tim?
Well, we lived through a good era of that, didn't we? A good era of comedy. He was a sharp guy. What's he doing now then? He's a sharp mind, that guy, isn't he? I remember.
He certainly was. I think he made his money. It's a horrible life comedy.
Yeah,
really.
I heard that.
And also, there's no place for him anymore. You can't.
No.
You have to be so, anal. You have to make yourself anal, and comedy is largely improvised. You go on stage with a basic idea, and that's like maybe 10 beats if you're doing a 30-minute set. So you've got 10 beats. I'm going to do that. Different comedians have different approaches. If you're a one-liner bloke, it's different. But storytellers, you'll have a few beats and you'll want to improvise. But I couldn't do that. I done stand-up for 10 years. I was getting 5-star reviews, full pages in newspapers. This is the best new thing. And no agents come anywhere near me. And I ended up meeting an agent who used to come and see me because she liked my show. We went out for a drink and she said, no, you're not going to get signed up, because the idea is to take comedians off of the stage at your level, get them on panel shows, and no one's going to put you on a panel show because of your material.
Yeah.
And
that makes sense. And it's a kind of cruel life. I think that's my doorbell, actually. I was thinking about, Jasper Carrot was saying this. He had a ready-made material, didn't he? He had ready-made material. And yet he was clubbing around. He was going around all the clubs down the north. And of course, the issue being, he couldn't keep repeating that material, could he? So when he went on TV, he had to write everything brand new. So it was like, what's he going to do then?
Well, I don't want to go through this too much because I've told my people, but a panel show will take 3 hours to film. They get their questions a couple of weeks in advance. The host will have a team of writers. The people on the panel, probably maybe 2 or 3 writers. And then they present it like it's just off the cuff, which is comedy, but it's actually theatre. It's scripted, rehearsed. Well, when I was young, I couldn't. I remember, actually, it bred a great generation of comics, because they grew up thinking, fuck me. They put a picture on the screen and they're like, bosh. That's what you've got to do. And then you find out, no, they've had that picture for a month and their mates have been texting them one-liners for it. But hang on, now we're talking about me, and this always happens, and people in the chat will say, let Tim bloody talk.
No, it's fine.
Tim, it's fine for you. Do you need to answer your doorbell?
No, I think my wife had bought some stuff, and to be fair, she probably has it already in a different colour, so we're going to hopefully get it taken away. It'll be boots, Chris. It'll be boots. I mean, it was something like that. You know what she did the other day? She's got an MX-5 that was in white. So she goes and buys one in orange. I'm not even joking. There's 2 now. I had to buy a car ramp. I've got a car ramp in my garage with a white MX-5 on it because she's got an orange one in the driveway. What's going on there? What's that about?
What is it? Is that a car?
Yeah, it's an MX-5, isn't it? It's a little soft top thing that women drive.
Look at him go. Look, he knows.
That is bad, isn't it?
But Tim, no, but how weird is that? Look, you literally, that's so harmless. But we know someone might pull you up on that, and
You know,
you'd have to apologise.
I drive it. I drive them. I mean, do you follow the culture wars back here in the UK? You must follow them in America, of course, because you're all over that.
I know what's going on. Yes.
Have you seen the Labour Party conference recently then with Keir Starmer?
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
How do they get themselves in that much trouble? This is the thing. If you appease, you knew you're going to drag me into this. If you appease any kind of activism, especially trans activism, those people are wild, right? They're fully focused on. If you appease them, they're not going to let you go. They're not as if they're going to turn around one day and go, yeah, no, everything's fine, we're all nice and balanced. They're not. And then he got himself wrapped up in this thing. It's destroyed the conference, really, which is probably not a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, you've nailed it, because they haven't got a goal. They want power. And there's no limit to how much power you can want and get, really. So, you're not going to say, okay, right, this is what we're going to do. You're going to have your own toilets, or you can use either of the toilets. You're going to have this, this. We've agreed to all that. Are we done now on this issue? No, because
there'll be more and more and more. We know what happens because we know the end state, because you read books by Dostoevsky or whatever it might be. You know where it's going to go. That's the thing. And there's a very kind of there's an angry side to it that I'm not saying you don't find it on the right necessarily, but it's the counsel aspects of it, the counselling culture part of it. It's not enough, is it, just to get you to, because an apology, you should never apologise, because that's just admitting that you did it. And now you're guilty, of course. So now they can take your social media channels down. They can go after your job. I saw some dude.
Your credit cards.
It goes on and on and on, and then before you know it, you're there going, "What the hell happened?" And it's like, well, don't apologise, double down. That's what I do. I get attacked. I'll tell you an interesting thing. Back in January, I was attacked by a dude in the army, a major. This guy was tripping, right? I don't know what was the matter with him. I'd written something, because you just comment on something. I don't know why you bother commenting on anything anymore. Try and have a pleasant conversation on Twitter. Never going to happen, is it? And I think I probably said something outrageous, Chris, like just whack, like trans women are not women or something. I mean, I don't know, something that was blatantly
mad, insanity. Yeah.
It wasn't even that. I think actually what I did is I liked something. That was right. We were talking about an historical. I saw a history bro in here. That guy's a legend. And I was probably saying, I probably read some of his stuff and I just commented on something. This guy had read this comment, which is quite innocuous, gone back into my tweet history about 3 or 4 weeks back, found something I'd clicked on. I'd liked someone else's post, a woman called Esther, beautiful black woman on Twitter. She'd written something. I wasn't getting much traction. I liked her. She's funny. I clicked on it. Just go, yeah, I kind of get that. That's funny. I kind of get that. I think she'd have been in a bit of an argument or whatever. She's going to go, I go, yeah, I like that. He then flashes this back up. And he says something like, oh, I see why you feel like this, because you're a racist or something. I'm commenting on a black woman's post. I'm liking it. But somehow now I'm the... Doesn't matter. This is it. 5 minutes in, Chris. You've got me doing this now. So
it is my fault.
Your fault. It is your fault. So that's what happens when you're in your echo chamber, Chris, isn't it? You know what I mean? So then he just launched into me. And the problem was there was no... I kind of said to the dude, if you're that angry at me, we must have met before. Like, you know what I'm saying? You cannot be that angry at me if we haven't met before. This guy was turbo angry, right? So I said, have we met before? And then he says, yeah, we met on a course. I don't even remember.
Oh, no shit. So there was history.
Oh, about 10 years ago, whatever. I didn't remember the dude. And he was going on something like, you obviously weren't well. I'm like, no one's well. What are you talking about? Obviously, you're flying jets. I'm not well. I'm just trying to stay alive every day, you idiot. So, and then we just had this back and forth. Of course, all these little henchmen jump in because they were. And I'll tell you the funny thing about it. I had to speak to some of my boys about this because I had to complain. He actually said, if you want to complain about me to the army, this is the address. And I was like, yeah, all right, why not?
Oh my God.
I mean, why not? What an idiot. The complaint was upheld. He gets a reprimand. What a dicklord anyway. So, an idiot. Anyway, so some of his mates then contacted me and said, this is why this happens. Because when you go into the army now, apparently, I didn't realize this. It's very different from the other services. I'm sure the other services now like this as well. I'm sure they are. From what I'm hearing, the whole LGBT plus D&I, they call it D&I now, don't they? Diversity in what's it? Diversity, inclusivity, and equity.
There's a 2 on it. Yeah, they've done this. It's gone from equality to equity because equity is essentially.
Yeah, there's more money to be coming in from that in there. So, yeah, LGBTQPIA, no, was it QIAPPK, isn't it? And then you just add on letters. You're going to run out soon. You have to get in the Russian alphabet or something. But so this dude was obviously, that's right, he was an ally.
There you go. They're the worst.
Because when you talk,
they're the worst because we're not talking about trans people. I know plenty. No. I lived in Soho. I was the only straight in the village. They were fine. We're talking
Yeah, it's
about
not
the
it's
allies.
it's allies.
Yeah.
Because it allows you to prove how virtuous you are. You know, you can say, well, no, and this is what this dude was doing. He was like, he called me transphobic. That was it. I'm like, I don't think I'm transphobic. I don't think I'm transphobic. I don't think we're all probably a little bit ageist, sexist, and racist. A little tiny weeny bit, aren't we? Until we can kind of say, I'm not. Maybe I'm just a little bit because I've never lived the lived experience of a black man. Don't really understand it. You know what I mean? But you know, I'm a big Tupac fan. You know what I mean? It's all that kind of stuff. It's like I can't. You know what I mean?
It's all right not to be perfect. I think that's fair enough.
We don't admit to it, do we? We never admit. We have to say that we're not racist, we're not transphobic, we're not sexist, we're not ageist. We have to do it, and this is where the anti-racism bit comes in now, Chris, because you can never prove you're not. So when that guy called me transphobic, I'm like, how do I prove I'm not transphobic? I can't. So therefore, he's won that argument. I'm like,
well, that's it. No, you have to be active. You have to be an ally. That's how you prove it. You have to get busy. We're going to pull back from that a little bit. My man Anglo-Saxon wants your opinion on the F-35. Any good?
Big Anglo. When you bring a jet into service, right, which you should never do, never bring a Mark 1 jet into service. It's just plagued with teething problems. And I brought in the T2 up here into service as a Mark 1 aeroplane, which means it's the first time anyone's ever flown it, right? So it comes in, you got to write material from it. Systems, they might not be breaking, but you probably don't understand them. So the engineers are trying to work ways of.
So you could literally be in the air going faster than the speed of sound in the aeroplane equivalent of Windows Vista.
Yes, where something with a little blue screen of death comes up. Yeah. But you know, it doesn't explode, does it? You know what I mean? And if it does, I'm double hard. So luckily, you know, it doesn't damage me, does it? I'll just pull the yellow and black and start doing a backstroke, like eject handle, like this. It's ejecting now. You know what I mean?
Is the F-35 any good? Come on.
Well, does it look good? It looks a bit chubby back, doesn't it? Is it fast? Not really.
Yeah. Anglo. I think what we need is a little bit more specificity, because I imagine that all these different jets have their good points and their bad points. This one jet has got amazing weaponry, but the other one's faster. The other one's more maneuverable. This one holds more fuel. I imagine there's not those things necessarily, but pros and cons. Although I'm getting the feeling you don't like the Harrier, which, you know, kept me going for years in the early 80s. I
do like it. I do like it.
No, you were shouting at it.
Whatever. I wasn't. It was not the jet. The jet. Look, what is YouTube about, Chris?
Right. Let me just tell my people. Anglo, thanks for that donation, mate. Much appreciated. While we're there, but hang on a minute, Tim. Just remember what your wife says to you. You don't always need to be talking. Bison American Club says, any advice on dating strippers and/or married women? Hypothetical. Who's that to? Me or Tim? I've dated loads of strippers.
I've got a story about that. Yeah, but I don't know whether I should tell it.
Well, there you go. Well, maybe we'll come. Let me know who you want that advice from, because you know that is relevant in this situation. Well, if it's Tim, tell me. Thank you, Bison, for that. But let me know who you want the advice from. Grego also asked a question, which I think is you've heard it 1,000 times. Did you become a pilot because of Top Gun? And have you got any expectations for the sequel? Nice one, Grego.
Yeah, they contacted me and they said, we're looking for a real man to play Maverick. And I said, look, give it to Tom, because he's an old age pensioner and he's the money. You can use makeup. You can make him look a bit better. No, I think I'm one of those guys, actually. I'm not saying they shouldn't have touched it and made a sequel. I think, yeah, why not? But I get this feeling that, well, how do you live up to something like Top Gun? Is that film you can rewatch again and again and you still get something from it? It was that classic 80s. If you go back and watch your 80s films, we're lucky, right? Because we're 80s kids or 70s kids.
They were brilliant, weren't they?
Those films are good. So those films back at that time, they had a story. I mean, God forbid you start watching. I never watch this X-Men stuff anymore. I never watched. I hear like people that watch Star Wars now, and it's very. I don't know whether it's the whole wokey thing that's got into it. Whatever it was happening.
It is that 100%.
I don't watch it, Chris. I don't know, but I know guys that do that get really angry at the. It's like you've got Star Wars. We had Star Wars. We had the 3 films, didn't we? 4, 5, 6. That's the only ones I've ever watched. I've never watched anything else. I tried watching one. It had this kind of Jar Jar Binks character in it. I don't know what the hell's that about. I didn't get through it. And then I haven't watched another one. So you kind of ruin it when you carry on. I'm not saying I've done it with Top Gun because I haven't seen it. And I've seen the trailer. It looks pretty exciting. I just hope they've kind of kept an authenticity about it. Apparently it's a love affair to flying. I just think it might have been wokeified and we're going to struggle in some places. But...
Well, that will be interesting because, you know, as late 70s, early 80s kids, not only was there stories and character arcs and all that sort of thing, but there was also masculinity.
Yeah.
It was good to see men. You know, I saw a review of Kelly's Heroes earlier. Do you remember? Have you seen Kelly's Heroes? Yeah. Great movie. Strange film, but you don't get films like that anymore. They just don't. They will not make them.
Well,
Tim, I don't even know what that means.
Was that in my video, that intro? Because that stick in the intro for DCS in the video game, I think that's the AV8B stick top. Now, I don't know whether that's this. Someone did say, I think it is. They do use the same stick on various airplanes, and I think the A10 has a very similar stick to the F-15. I don't fly the F-15, and I really don't fly the A10 that much because these aircraft have a level of complexity that once you invest time in flying in one of them, especially when you're teaching on it, and I teach on 2 aircraft formally, and I was flying with the French this morning. I was flying a Harry with the French. They were flying Mirage. They want me to learn Mirage. I'm like, I have to speak French, and then I'll have to get to know the French better, and everything's going to fall apart and we'll go to war again. So I don't, you know what I mean? It probably is a very similar stick to the F-15, yeah.
Good callbacks, Max. I can't believe you even know all that. I just can't believe that.
Testing my knowledge, fam. Testing my knowledge now.
Now, but in fairness, Grego's been on fire recently. He's a funny bloke. There must have been some, you know, I said to my people earlier, I said, listen, Scrubs, I'm going to try and find out what makes that little baby, what makes them end up going to war in a jet? What did make you do that? What, you know, my life as, you know, John Lennon classic quote, life's what's happened. Life is what happens while you're making other plans. Yeah. And my life has been a series of accidents that I've sort of found out about afterwards. Not all bad either, but it's quite an extreme situation to have decided and stuck with for 20 years. You know, and that's not a judgment of whether it's a good or a bad decision, but where was the first sort of, where did you think, yeah,
you don't get a choice, Chris. You know, when you're in the military and you get sent to war, you tend to have to go.
No, not that bit, you bastard. Has anyone ever not, actually? Have they ever said, okay, what's it? What's the sortie?
No, I mean, the thing about a squadron, it's like an infantry unit. You go because your mates are going. And the same thing that you enter a pub fight because your mates are entering a pub fight. It's like, well, it's all in then, isn't it? You know what I mean? So when I campaigned against the Iraq War, my sister campaigned like publicly against it, but we had a solicitor come up. We were one of the first squadrons out there on 12, which might be that squadron there. I don't know, Tornado Squadron. And we were told by this solicitor, she came up, a lovely woman, but she said, look, if you guys do drop we didn't have a mandate, man. We're working on the last mandate, weren't we, from 91? We didn't have a new one for 2006, 7, whatever it was. I think
you're going to have to explain that. We didn't have a mandate.
Yeah, the UN mandate we had when we went into the first one back in 91. It was we had like literally the UN permission to go in there. Now, when we went for the second one, we were struggling to get that. And I believe at the time, Blair was trying to say, look, we've got one already, because back in 91, we had one, you know what I mean? It's like, well, it's 2005 now. Okay. Yeah. So, and she was saying, look, if you drop, you're probably going to end up in a court of law. If you drop munitions on the battlefield, you end up in a court of law. And we were sitting there going, well, that doesn't sound too good now, does it? But we had this flow chart on our leg and everything you had to go through. You had to get permissions and authorities to drop weapons. And it was really turbo complex. It wasn't like drop the bomb. I've written about it. It was really, really complicated.
Hang on. So that what you just said written on your leg, you're talking about that, your notebook on your leg. So you have to go through a process once you're in the air.
Yeah.
So you're in the air, you've identified a possible target. If you did have a mandate, you'd just organise to take it out. But you had to talk to someone? They'd have to sign it off with someone else. Then
yeah.
How
So
long
you go.
does that take? Well, how long does that process
Well,
take?
I mean, the Americans worked under very different rules to us, but our rules of engagement said we had to get clearance from a higher authority. So what happened to me over Amara, a town, they were all, I can't remember who they were now, it was a Hampshire-based regiment. We hit pretty badly. I wrote an essay about it. We were called up there. We had 2 jets there, and we're burning like a lot of fuel getting there. So a tanker came down from Baghdad to help us, which he shouldn't have done, but he did. Really good of him. But then when we're over there, they were calling for kinetic operation. They were calling for the bomb we were carrying and the gun. And there was no really clear defined target. It was insurgents and everything else. And so I can't really just strafe crowds as much as that might seem to be. It has the opposite effect, strangely enough, when you start strafing random crowds of women and kids. The kind of population turns against you, you know what I mean? So
the most popular president in United States history just recently done it, didn't he? We just dragged everyone out, didn't he? So, I mean, the problem, well, he did bomb the car, didn't he, with the kids in Kabul, yeah. Well, I don't think it was him that bombed it, but but so that's exactly what happens, isn't it? You've got to be turbo careful, and that's why you have to work through this grid, this matrix. And it was really complicated. And I was a young dude back then, still am a young dude. Thanks so much, appreciate it. And I must admit, it just got to the point where it was better not to engage in that kind of thing. But I still have no idea of the time how long. Or we might have monsoon here. It should be all right. I might start shouting. Just tell me not to. How long between you saying, right, I want to bomb something, and you getting the go ahead or not? What are we talking? Seconds, minutes, hours?
We're probably going through that with the targeting and making sure we didn't have people in the area and everything else. It could be up like 10, maybe 15 minutes sometimes. But you have to remember the weaponeering we were doing out in theatre wasn't pre-planned strike ops or airborne interdiction. It wasn't like my job when I was on the big jet that side, was pre-planned targeting. It was to go deep, like across the border into Eastern Europe, hit a target, run away. Then we had these other wars coming in where that wasn't appropriate anymore. First Gulf War was that, by the way. Hit that airfield, hit this bunker, hit this. The second one was more of an overwatch, an oversight, sitting up there doing close air support work. And of course, close air support work needs a forward air controller to talk you in. They should have done all this material first, but the ops I had, we just never really had that option. And it was quite a good thing we didn't really, because all the kinetic stuff are kind of, if it hadn't stopped, it was stopping. And the more we were to engage with that, the more continuation there would be. You've got to understand that when you're in conflict, in order to preserve life, you need to take a lot of life quickly. It's kind of hard. The concept's difficult, but if you were to maintain these battles and these escalations, just more people die. This is why. This is why you need to go in there and get the stuff done to save. I mean, if you can destroy half the German army on the ground straight away, like in the first wave, for example, the rest of the German army is saved. They're saved. They're not going to fight anymore. They can't. They're done. You know what I mean? So that's why you get in there, you hit them hard, and it's a real nasty thing to sort of talk about and to help people understand. It's always about the preservation of life. I hate talking about it, but if you don't do that and you don't go in and strike hard on day one, as whether you want to be there or not, it's going to be day 400 before you know it, and a lot of people are now dying. You know what I mean? We're trying to stop operations quickly. But when I went out there, that work had almost been done, or had been done in a political sense. So my work was more of an overwatch, and then there was some small kinetic stuff, but really stuff that I didn't have to take care of. And so I was all right, luckily. But you don't choose to go there, really, Chris. You're kind of sent, mate.
Yeah. I hope this weather doesn't affect my internet connection too much, because it can do. So apologies. Okay, Bison, I'll help you about dating strippers another time. It was actually me, Tim.
Oh, was it? Oh, I feel left out. Okay, my knowledge is wasted here. Don't worry.
Grego has got another interesting question. It looks like this man has done his research. Let me just show you. Well, he hasn't done his research, but he's obviously into your channel. Grego says this.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for another donation, Grego. In your excellent interview with Mandy Hickson, you agreed the Air Force was very sexist back in the day, but better now. But is it too better now? Has the pendulum swung the other way too far?
You know, I don't think I agreed with Mandy that it was. I might have said that because Mandy's a friend of mine. And I might have said, it was sexist. But when it's full of men and there's no women in it, don't get me wrong. Is it sexist then? It's, back in those days, that's what life was, wasn't it? When Mandy joined, she was one of the first girls, I think, to women what, crikey, pick me up for whatever. To
It's
get
crazy.
through, I know it is. It is.
The other ones are.
What is it? Just list them all. List them all. Yeah. What is it? Was it person with a cervix now? We're saying or something.
Oh, it's shocking.
Body with a vagine. I'm not even going to. Yeah. Horrendous.
People who provide milk.
Yeah, people who menstruate. I just don't even know where we are now. They do it on purpose.
But Tim, this is insane that we're trying to talk about jet piloting, and this is an actual problem here. We're struck. I nearly said.
If you make it a problem, it is. I think we're just dealing with a bunch of idiots. The thing is, Mandy went through during that time, and the service was trying to find its feet. I remember the time, pictures of women on the wall and stuff. They're not naked women, but you used to get them on the page 3, didn't you? The Sun. It was that era. I think it's gone. I think it's gone the other way, and it's swung. It has to swing back because I get attacked sometimes because I run men's groups, right? Groups for men. The kind of clues in the name, isn't it? They're not for women. The groups are not for women. The individual clients I do the work with can be women, but women didn't want groups. I've never had women go, "Can we be in a group, please? Can we be?" But men are like, "Yeah, we want to be in a group together." Yeah. So I don't run the group for men and women, and I did have some women say, "Why not?" I'm saying, well, you wouldn't want to really be in there. And the men don't want, when the men are talking about problems in their lives, and some of those problems in their life involve family and the wife and the construct. So they don't
that's
want
a
women
very
in there.
good way of saying that all of men's problems revolve around women. That's kind of your point. From mother to sister to girlfriend.
A lot of the work I do actually is quite interesting. Is about the tendency for everything to.
Sorry, before we get into this, can you just explain what you do? Because a lot of people don't know. Tim has also got a website. I'll put a link in the description later. Can you just give us a summary of that? Because we've got a lot of new followers since we last spoke.
I heard that you are just grabbing all my followers and they're coming across to you. That's what you're doing. So thank you for that, Chris. Thank you for that. That's very kind. Right, so what do I do? So I do a few things. So I was a director in an aviation firm. I left the military back in 18, thank you, mid-18. I did come out, unfortunately, in the military in an era where my skin color my gender wasn't the correct one to be employed by major firms. So I applied to BAE Systems, and they actually had something on their front page. They still got it there saying we particularly welcome applications from women and from BAME. And I'm all good with that because I would as well. But when I did apply for one of the jobs there, I think it was to fly in a simulator down in the other side of the country, they said we just want applications really from women and from BAME first. Yeah, and then of course, but the funny thing is none of us had flown with any people like that knew how to fly F-35 sims or anything. And so they got back after 6 months, and I'd already built a business. So I run something called the Spin Recovery course, which is about self-esteem, purpose.
Slow up. You're talking so fast.
You've got to listen quicker, Chris. We haven't got the time. These people are busy. They've got to do stuff. It's not about you anymore. All right. You want to transcribe it?
This is what the military has done to you. You see,
jeez, you've slowed down. Okay, you've changed. All right. So I run a course for men called the Spin Recovery Program. I can't do it.
Okay, right. You crack on. Go on.
What the course does, it's about 12 weeks. It's online, and we come through as a group. And what we do is we hold each other accountable for improvements. And we start off recognizing that there's things that we need to do, or we've got issues, whatever we want to address. And the whole course runs over the 12 weeks, meeting twice a week. And we just work through a schedule, which looks deeply into what we are, what we want to be doing. So self-esteem, purpose, identity, and then the whole negativity that we tend to be surrounded with. And it goes on. Yeah, so scroll down the bottom there. I've run that a few times now. I run it individually with, individuals, of course, as well. And it costs half the price of a UK funeral. So it's priced exactly half the cost of a UK funeral.
The reason I'm particularly interested, so this is Tim's website, people. It's really hammering down here. We are in monsoon season. I wasn't exaggerating.
It is.
I've just put the link to Tim's website, which you're looking at now. The reason I'm particularly interested in this, I was asking the scrubs a few weeks back, what stops you starting new projects? And it was a poll, so I gave them a few options: procrastination, laziness, blah, blah. And 46% of them, said laziness. They just can't be asked.
Yeah.
And it was quite disappointing. So when you know, what kind of people? I'm just going to read a bit of this to you, people. So this is what Tim says on his site. I'll put the link in the description. It's easy to remember. Fastjetperformance.com. He says this: I am a high performance consultant assisting individuals and organizations in creating a better, happier, and more productive futures. You might want to look at the grammar.
I might want to look at that.
Yeah. I specialize in high performance leadership and coaching and get organizations to work together from a paradigm of trust rather than fear. So it's really interesting stuff. I mean, I admire people who actually do shit. You know, so many people have got loads of ideas, but you've done this, you do this, and I think things like this for me are so essential now. And I'll outright say it, for men have been absolutely fucked over the last 30, 40 years. You know, they're doing terribly, a largely feminized education system. They're doing terribly in universities. You know, and as you just said yourself, they're bottom of the, you know, the BBC jobs, BAME applicants only. And it's like, yeah. And of course, masculinity is toxic, as Gillette told us, who a couple of months ago was saying the best a man can get. Suddenly, no, don't fight, kids. And I say, no, fucking fight. Kids should be fighting. It's part of being a man. It's part of growing up. It's part of understanding your place in a group. So I'm really interested in this. So there you go, people. I just wanted to give you a little bit of background on what Tim does there. Who comes to you? What? Hang on, let me do a couple of super chats first, because there's a couple I've missed and they'll be fuming. Thank you, Brian, for that, Lady Godiva. Evil Dr. Chris Whitty is going to fluoridate England's water. Well, it's on the list, Brian. It's certainly on the.
Did you not do it already? I thought it was already done, wasn't it? I thought.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. No. Evil Chris Whitty.
You can buy a toothpaste in Cambodia that says on the bottle, on the box, with pride, contains 7% hydrogen peroxide. You know,
that's
bleach. No.
Bleaching your teeth. Jeez.
Yeah, that's bleach, right? That's just bleach. I missed another super chat. Someone asked me, and I've got to deal with it. It's a bit of a big question, and I do want to get off the war stuff, but he threw a lady at you. So, how do you see fighting? I guess it means war in general, changing in the future. Where do you see it going?
I think we're seeing it now, Chris. We're seeing subversion, isn't it? So the state actors, let's pick a couple. Let's pick China and Russia. Let's just say that they are expert at subverting other nations. So if you subvert a nation, you won't be able to fight, will it? Because you're going to fill it full of. Did you see the American Army advert with the girl who was brought up by two women? And
it was like a nightmare. It was like a bad dream.
It's that kind of. I hate to say it, bollocks. Oh, I didn't want to say it on your show now because I did swear. Sorry. No, I get sometimes, and it's rare, but sometimes I've got a good following of women follow me on, and I think it's because they're like just being spoken the truth to, and just a bloke saying, "Look, I'm not going to roll over with this shit because I'm a bloke I'm a reasonably big dude, and I've come a long way, and it's been pretty difficult. And I work, I make sure my life is hardship, and I work with other people, and I make sure their life is hardship, and we drive forwards purpose. And I think that's the important thing. People are too comfortable, Chris, and especially as men. If you're too comfortable, women feel this as well. I know they do because my family is entirely women, right? I've got a wife, I've got 3 sisters, I've got 3 nieces, 2 sisters, 3 nieces, a mum, and then my brother and my little nephew. So my whole family is women, and I know they feel the same thing. They need a purpose. But women can likely get purpose from, say, giving childbirth, looking after, and bringing up a kid. It's all encompassing. Men need some kind of challenge, and so we need that hardship to drive ourselves forward, and yet we don't really have it because it's comfortable. We're too comfortable. We're living too comfortable.
Yeah. And we're not allowed to engage in it. We're not allowed to engage in it. Out here, if there's a falling out in the street, they'll have a fight. If it gets to someone picking up a bottle or stamping on someone's head, they'll stop it. But if it's just a bit of punching, if it, all right, let's sort this out. They stand up afterwards. It's dealt with. No one calls the police. There's not people twitching behind windows. There's a couple of men fighting. the community deals with it. But because we've lost our communities in the UK, and because the millennials look to the government to deal with every aspect of their life, you know, I honestly think masculinity is being sucked out of our society, out of European society.
Well, you need men to keep it in, and that's what I do. And the men I work with, that's exactly where we are with that. You know,
fucking brilliant.
Well, you're not going to roll. You don't. I mean, women are the same. Women want masculinity. It's not. We're not. This is not. We don't want. So subversion. Subversion is. I mean, I'm going to talk to you about libertarianism in a minute, because you said something on one of your shows, and I'm thinking, you just thinking about that, because I didn't fully understand it. And I'm going to go to Dr. Chris, who's a doctor. You know, he's going to educate me on libertarianism. But it was more about, like, if you subvert countries, then they are unable to fight. Because right now, you might have difficulty recruiting people into the military. And what's happening with the British Army today is they're turning around and saying, we need to train people differently. I argue against this, and I say, look, hang on. You're still going to put someone with a weapon and take them to a battlefield, and they've got to engage and close with the enemy. That's just a fact. It's been the same forever. And now they're saying, well, the younger generation want to talk more about X or feelings or whatever it might be. And it's like, I get that. I get it. We all get it. But there are some out there who don't. So you don't change your way of doing things for the people that are coming in. You just make sure that you set a great example in your military, and people want to join that example because they see this. You're the best people out there. They want to join. I sometimes get, and it rarely, well, I get, as I told you already, I get men hitting me. Like, and are they men? I'd say they're boys, right? But they hit me for this kind of stuff, and they say, no, Tim, we've got to embrace this new culture. I'm like, have we bollocks? Right? Either way, I sometimes get women writing to me saying, look, masculinity is toxic, it's gone too far. And I'm like, who's going to fly that jet for you? You? Because there wasn't many women doing it. And when there are women doing it, they do have to go and have families if they want them. So they have to. It's like, if they want them, you can't have it both ways. You can't have a really successful career and a really great family unless you are someone like Sheryl Sandberg and you can employ loads of people because you work for Facebook to help run that family for you. Most people can't. And it's just one of those really awful things that women have to make a decision about. Like, how much do I chase that career, and do I sacrifice a family for it, to work 70 or 8 hours a week with the possibility and the unlikely possibility of becoming a CEO? And why would you want to do that anyway, really, become a CEO? Because
awful job.
It's going to suck and you're going to miss so much. So, yeah, I think subversion is the way at the moment that we're finding it. We're bringing all these things in that mean rubbish, and yet we're talking about them, such as trans activism, and it's just no interest in it. And no offense to trans people, it's just not my bag. I've got other stuff I'm dealing with, and I know they're dealing with that a lot. I've got nothing against it. I wish them all the best. But why are we still conversing about it?
Tim, is the British military having recruiting problems?
Whenever you come out of a conflict, you have a recruiting problem, because people join to go and do some action. The people that they tend to recruit in now, and I don't want to be that guy that says this. Hang on.
Can I just clarify that? So if there's something going on, so like when the Falklands kicked off, do people go and sign up because?
Yeah, you tend to see that. Yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah, so guys will join. So a young man would join at 19, do 1 or 2 tours of Afghan and get out. Because he's done it. There's nothing else now. All he's going to do is sit training in Canada or something for the rest of his career. And it's boring and dull. So they do see people get that fix. They've done it. They get out. They're going to do some private security work, whatever it might be. We had the issue with the airlines. Of course, a lot of guys were leaving post-conflict now, jet guys or whatever. Airlines, of course, the whole pandemic thing came in. Airlines shut down, didn't they? And then, of course, all the guys that are about to leave to the airlines, they didn't leave. They stayed. And, of course, we're going to lose a lot of people when airlines pick up again, because those people that were going to go 2 years ago are now going to go. People that were going to go now are going to go, and people that are going to go in the future will go, I'll go early. So we're looking to lose a lot of people. But, you know, it is what it is.
So in answer to your question, what is your answer to this question, to summarise?
Okay, so how's fighting changing in the future? I think it's going to be less on the battlefield. It's more going to be sort of political. Sort of, we call it psyop.
Yeah.
So it was just, you know, we're out of Europe now. And I'm not saying that I wasn't a pro-Europe person, okay? I was a Brexit dude, but I was well on the fence with it. I probably still am a little bit on the fence. Like, you know, I'm not all in one side or the other, but I was a bit sovereignty, you know, let's get out of this mess. Because
without doubt. Yeah.
It was a mess. And if you remember, Charles de Gaulle back in, 66, he stopped us twice entering in the European Monetary Union, isn't he? So it's like, you know, we're not huge friends in Europe. We are in Europe, but not in the European Union. In fact, I'm happy with it. We'll go our own route. I know people aren't, and I'll get cool names, but we're sold on it now. So I think if you look at that, if you look at what Johnson was doing at the time, that had a huge amount of influence, apparently, external actors pushing that narrative. That's the kind of warfare we're in now, where, Trump coming out. Trump coming out of office, all that stuff.
So more like a kind of Cold War kind of thing.
Yes, it's a good way of looking at it. Okay. I am an expert, obviously. I'm not an expert. Not an expert.
But do you remember being a terrified teenager, with all Threads, The Day After, all those
under the desk,
all the pop music, Protect and Survive? Was it to come through the letterbox, put your door up against the wall?
That's it. Yeah, that's gonna help, by the way. Yeah.
That's gonna help.
Elite. It was keep you occupied until he died, wasn't it? That was what it was.
Yeah, there's no need to be scared. You've got sandbags to make out your old nan's jumpers.
Yeah,
Thank you, Keys to the Kingdom, for that donation. I'm just making sure I haven't missed any more.
John Palmer says that. Yeah, that's nice. He says, talk some sense.
Where are we? Joe, let me just check my entropy that I didn't miss any more. Facts. We had Danger. We had. I don't think I had Steve Craze, actually. Sorry, Steve Craze. Cheers for hooking me up with other scrubs, Danger. Nice one. No, it was a pleasure. Not a problem at all. So I haven't missed anyone except for the one on this. Ever see anything you couldn't identify? Not a person. In the sky. Great chat, gents. Hoi.
I never did, actually. No, I never. I just...
Because we do get this footage leaked occasionally where, and look, I obviously believe there are objects that are unidentified that fly around occasionally. That would make sense. But some of them are quite convincing, aren't they? When you hear the voiceover going, he's traveling and he gives the speed of it and then it just goes...
Yeah, I read about this, actually. I completely sold on the fact that people come in. I mean, if you think about how advanced these technologies must be of other people coming from wherever they're coming from, they're not going to really disturb the growth, are they? I would have thought they're going to let the planet evolve and everything else. I mean, I never saw anything at all, but I've read a lot of these things, and there's no reason to believe that there isn't people coming from, or whatever it might be, coming from elsewhere, or probes coming in or something. I just never saw anything, really. I mean, it's busy in a cockpit. I've got things to do, and I wasn't really happy.
I watch your videos and all that lot, and knowing what to do with it. I think there's, men are very different creatures, because not a chance. You could teach me for 20 years, and that thing isn't getting off the ground.
I struggle sometimes myself, to be fair.
I've heard.
I do.
I was very interested today watching you in one of those simulators, and you were talking about what was the word, hypoxia.
Oh yeah.
Where you're not getting enough oxygen because I can't remember why, traveling too fast, or
that's a reduction of the partial pressure of oxygen through altitude, isn't it? So as you get higher, they get thinner.
It up.
Yeah.
But what amazed me was the simulator actually simulated your loss of ability to see colour.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And you've experienced that for real, have you?
Yeah, it's exactly the same, actually. Exactly the same. Yeah, it's really good. They did it really well. Yeah.
And you said a mate of yours, because there's a lack of oxygen, that's kind of like a hit. And so you said a mate of yours was like, yeah, man. But you're like in this jet, you're just thinking, this is wicked. And then luckily there's a moment of clarity where you think, oh, hang on a minute, I'm flying a jet. This isn't a party. So
for him there was, yeah. For some there isn't, and some people isn't, and they die from it, of course. I remember a couple of accidents.
They die in the plane, or they crash the plane, or they die of the actual hypoxia.
Well, it depends what you look at, what the moment of death is. I mean, if you're hypoxic in an airplane, you fall asleep, your brain's probably still active until the aircraft hits the ground. If you think about pulling G's in an airplane, and some of my friends were killed by what's called G locks, so G-induced loss of consciousness, where the brain loses consciousness through the lack of blood in the brain. It's the same thing as hypoxia. I mean, it's not, but it is. It's still the lack of oxygen in the brain, because the blood carries the oxygen to the brain. Lack of blood in the brain, because it's all being in your feet, because you're pulling 6 or 7 times your gravity. You're in a turn or something. That brain just says, I better shut down because I've got to preserve my heart. So the brain takes a lot of energy, doesn't it? It takes a lot of work to keep that brain active. I think it uses more of what we have than anything else. So the brain says, I'll shut myself down, therefore it keeps the heart having oxygen and pumping away, and I'll come back around again in a minute, hopefully, if I get more oxygen. hypoxia is the same. We lose the partial pressure. Same amount of oxygen is in air, about 21% but of course the molecules are further away, so I'm getting less in at height if the aircraft is not pressurized. When you go on holiday, your aircraft is pressurized about 8,000 feet, which is why you feel a bit tired all the time.
No, that would be the Valiant.
Yeah, that as well.
Tim, it's like time travel. A couple of them at Heathrow wake up in Thailand 5 minutes later. It's great. The question would be that. Thank you, Joe, for that donation. That question. I think it's a no from Tim on that. He knew what he was. He knew what he was seeing. Why would someone die of that though? Why would someone even have? Surely you're trained against that, or is it because you've had to make a maneuver to avoid an attack? What I don't understand why you'd end up in that position, because it's obviously a dangerous position to end up in. Why would you end up there? Why would you?
Okay.
So not be able to handle your G's? Yeah.
So if you're in an air combat fight, of course, you can be pulling 6, 7, 8, 9 G. Now that's you strain against it, and so you have G pants that tighten around your legs to try and stop or prevent the blood from the rest of the body.
Can you give us a sense of how much that is? What would we know? What is there anything that non-jet fighters would know that is 1 G or something?
So if that cup weighs 1 kilogram,
right?
Like say it weighs 1 kilogram. If I'm pulling 9 Gs, it now weighs 9 kilograms. So my arm, being enough arm, okay, probably weighs, I don't know, about 20 kilograms, massive arm. If I was now in a jet pulling 9 Gs, my arm is heavy. My helmet on my head. Heads, if you pick up a head that's been chopped off a body, apparently, allegedly.
Yeah, steady.
Allegedly, on YouTube. That's where the screen goes blank.
Minecraft.
I've heard. Apparently weighs the same as like a bowling ball. So it's a heavy thing. So if you've got a helmet on, you're putting 9 Gs. I used to not be able to move my head in air combat. I just wedge it next to the canopy in the seat and be looking out the top like that. I'm good. But your neck, when we did the air combat phase, the neck
helmet weight? How much does the helmet weigh?
Helmet, I think about a couple of kilograms. I think we tried to get them really light in the end, but you still got a helmet there. I mean, they still got to protect your head, so they still weigh quite a bit. They do weigh quite a bit, to be fair.
You were just saying your neck expands?
Yeah, so when we do an air combat phase, when we did an air combat phase on this airplane here, it comes around every 6 to 8 weeks. I'd gain about 2 inches on my neck, so my shirts I couldn't do them up. So you end up just buying extra shirts, whatever. Ones that you wear.
Primark, though, they don't, you haven't got any.
Yeah, the uniform's really cheap. Yeah, don't worry about it. I never used to wear. I don't wear shirts out here because I just don't wear anything out here. I wear shorts and a pink, salmon pink top all the time.
Which is somewhat different to not wearing anything.
Could be naked most of the time.
Why are people from work talking to me at gone midnight? So in answer to my question, it's evasive maneuvers, is it? They're either training them or they're actually in them, and
it's a failure in the jet as well. So you are half pressure or partial pressurized in the cockpit in case you have a rapid decompression. So if you have a rapid decompression from where, say, the cockpit was pressurized for where we are now, it's quite dense on the Earth, isn't it? So we're pressurized at 0 feet in a cockpit that's at 30,000 feet. If that cockpit had a rapid decompression, the canopy exploded, whatever, because it had an imbalance. It happened to a friend of mine in the Sea Harrier over Cardiff. His canopy exploded at 30,000, but his cockpit was already pressurized about 12,000 feet, maybe a bit more, maybe 15. So the difference in pressure wasn't that significant. And straight away, his immediate oxygen stuff fired, his emergency oxygen fired. It detected a decompression in the cockpit. It fired straight away. He's on like 100% oxygen and he's all right. Okay. But he couldn't breathe the oxygen outside because there wouldn't be enough. The pressure wouldn't be great enough for it to be, he'd go unconscious within 15 seconds. So when I did that mosquito video around about 26,000 feet, it took about 2 or 3 minutes of more and more. And then it starts going darker because the eye, when the eye is robbed of oxygen, the brain loses the ability to detect color within the eye, the cornea, the external parts of the cornea. And I don't know any more about than that because I was just a small pilot. You know what I mean? I'm not a doctor. I could blag it, but I couldn't actually. So you get that, and then of course the brain has to shut itself down after a while because it says I don't have enough oxygen to function. I'll shut myself down because I want to keep the heart pumping blood around the body. Sure, okay. So it's a lack of oxygen, it's an emergency procedure, or it's the fact that you've sat there at 9G in a a gunfight or something, and you're working hard. The blood is just coming out your brain, and you just can't keep it there. And blood carries oxygen. You haven't got oxygen in the brain, and your body just shuts down. It can happen like that as well. That's the danger. It can really happen very quickly. So we are taught to recognise it.
So have you come round flying a jet after a small period of that? Have you
I've recognised it. I was a smoker. It was about a decade ago. I stopped smoking, but there was a mate of mine called Ginge. Strange enough, he was Ginge boy. He's from Northern Ireland, but he was a Protestant, and I was a Catholic. It was a real issue with him. And I was like, I don't care, Ginge, I don't care. But we used to do chamber runs together. We used to go in the big chamber, and we used to get depressurized to find out what it was like to have this oxygen being robbed of you. We'd be sitting there playing cards, because they give you these puzzles, like kids' puzzles. Put the circle in the circle bit, put the triangle in the triangle bit. And of course, you're doing this, it's easy. And then you see people like just trying to put a circle in a square hole. You know, obviously they're being robbed of oxygen, they're doing stupid things. And Ginger and I, been smoking, has had a tab outside. We're at a low, we haven't got any oxygen in us anyway, because we could build up all the CO2.
Oh, you had like a weird tolerance.
Yeah, so both of us are sat there, and we're like, this is ridiculous. You know, we're just throwing things at each other, and everyone else is collapsing and this kind of stuff. And we're sitting there going, this is just boring. So, we're actually probably living out at 20,000 feet already, sort of thing. So, but then when I stopped smoking, I did get more effects. So you learn.
You're saying that if you're going to be a jet pilot, smoke.
That's really not a good idea. Really bad idea. Yeah, but that's it. So you just learn. I mean, I used to. The way they do it now is differently. They just put you on an oxygen mask and then they turn the oxygen down as you're flying a little flight sim, like I just showed on that thing.
Okay.
And people get different symptoms, and it's understanding your own symptoms. So eventually when they turn it back on again and you kind of go, whoa, you get really flushed and hot. You're like, whoa, they tell you what your symptoms were because you can't see them because your brain isn't. So my symptoms were, I was shaking a lot, but I couldn't see that I was shaking. I couldn't see. But I did remember feeling really, really happy. I felt really, really hot. Yes, I remember that. And that saved me a couple of times in an airplane thinking it is turbo hot in here. What the hell's going on? And I look at the oxygen gauge and she's through the floor and I pull the emergency oxygen and it just all comes back very quickly. But you do that training every 5 years, yeah.
So they train you to understand the symptoms. So that, okay, that makes more sense. Tim, have you ever had anyone shoot at your aircraft while you're on a mission? I
think we had a lot of people try and do that, but you don't always see it.
Is it just Kalashnikovs? Or?
Yeah, it probably was, and some really bad language, which I managed to avoid. But I was quite fortunate. In fact, we didn't have much of that when we went into Iraq for the second time. In effect, most of those systems have been down. It was my job to defend against them anyway. And so you tend to avoid the places where you tend to do the planning pre. It's like, well, I'm not going to go there because we know that's an industrial, urbanized center, and we know that there's going to be probably surface-to-air missiles out there that could actually target us. So we'll just stay out to the west here, and we're not going to go in and challenge those because. So a lot of it's in the planning. But no, I never got shot at because they realised.
Is that a real thing though? Heat-seeking missiles that you have to just keep trying to avoid as a jet.
Okay. So you've seen a film or something where they're just following around? No. So a missile. Think about a missile. It's designed to miss you. The clue's in the name, right? Missile, hitile. There are things called hitiles. Hitiles are designed to hit you. A bullet is a hitile. A missile is a missile.
There's no hitile. You are lying. Don't tell me there's a hitile. Hang on. I'm on Google here. Google. We've got Googles as well. HITT.
Wasn't like I was an Air Force instructor for 20 years or nothing, but I'll wait for you to Google it. That's all right. You've missed me. You never called.
Actually, I'm going to go. So there is a hitile, is there?
There is a hitile. The first SAM ever made was a hitile. So the idea being that rocket is designed to hit your airplane, hit it, like physically hit it. A missile is aiming for your airplane. Airplane is my hand, by the way.
Surely you're winding me up. It's a missile.
That's why it's named like that. I don't understand.
That's not the etymology of missile.
I do not understand why you think it's any different.
Hang on. Chat. One in the chat if you believe Tim.
There we go.
I mean, Andrew does. I'm not saying that you're wrong. It's just balmy. It's just
a missile has to have a miss distance because it does more damage if it misses you by a short range.
Right. So hang on though. But what I'm suggesting is that they're all going with you. I'm suggesting that the etymology of missile is not from miss. I reckon you've done that. You've reverse engineered that, and then that's where hitile comes from.
Look at etymology of missile. I've never done it. I was just yes, like the nukes explode for impact on air.
You're so right. Hang on. Well, it's a little bit weird because it comes from the Latin miss, meaning sent.
There we go. So Seahawk misses, sends out a projectile to hit the target. So you're trying to create a miss distance. The warhead explodes, and all that debris goes heads forwards, and therefore you've got more of a chance of hitting the aircraft. If you try and hit it.
So a missile is putting out a load of an explosion. So they're looking at shrapnel, I suppose.
Yeah. It has a fuse, a proximity fuse. So as it comes and hit my hand, it's coming up behind my hand here, coming up behind my hand like this, coming up behind. If it's gonna hit me, it'll just offset a little bit, and as it just misses here, the warhead proximity fuse and the fuselage goes boom, and all that debris and fragmentation hits me. Okay, well, hopefully it doesn't hit me because I'm a ninja. And I go, Argh. But if you try and get a hitile to come and hit you, if a missile will try and hit you, you then could outmaneuver it. And also, a missile only burns very quickly. A missile will burn probably for 2 or 3 seconds, and then it's at Mark 4. So if you can get it to turn, you can bleed the energy off the missile very quickly, and therefore it will tumble and it won't hit you.
Okay, right. Okay, that does make sense. Actually, crying at hitile. Okay.
All I'm doing, Chris, is I'm just bringing the knowledge here.
I know,
okay?
but you're bringing it in big amounts.
Right, next one, I'm going to slide a massive whiteboard in it, like that. Get 4 colours up, and then you're in trouble because now we're getting deep into like Central Flying School stuff.
Hitiles,
you know what I mean?
missiles, near aisles, and
you can make up more aisles. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is a really boring subject for people, by the way.
Right. Hang on. Albert's questioning you.
I love that. Right,
and at the same time.
The organ takes up a large percentage of the body's blood supplies. I always thought it was oxygen. I suppose, is it the blood because of the nutrients as well as the oxygen, or is it just the oxygen? I thought the brain was the biggest use of oxygen resource in the body. Completely, I could be wrong. 20%. Second is the kidneys, and third the brain. So is that because the brain's taken up the blood because it has the oxygen in it? Therefore, it's using up the most oxygen, whereas the liver and the kidneys are taking up the blood because of another resource within the blood. And I don't know that, but Albert probably does. So I can stand myself corrected there.
Heart is the highest, followed by the kidneys, then the brain, then the liver.
Yeah.
Heart, kidneys, brain, liver. But I understand your point about oxygen.
Well, the brain shuts down. Think about when you're shot. Obviously, we've all been shot, haven't we? When you're shot, what's the mechanism of death for a shooting victim or a stabbing victim? Why do they?
For a shooting victim, that it's a loss of blood from the exit wound. In my limited experience,
it's not instantaneous, is it? You shoot someone, that person could still be alive for a long period, but they're unconscious. So I did a reading about this. I can't remember what it's called now. I wrote an essay because my father was firearms in the police force, and so I looked up what the mechanism of death was for a gunshot wound. I wrote an essay about my father. It's called something. I can't remember what it's called now, but the brain shuts itself down because of the traumatic experience it's felt, and it shuts itself down to conserve the resources like the oxygen and everything, so that the heart can still function.
Right, that makes sense.
That's really kind of as far as I got with it. And Albert obviously knows a lot more about this than I do, so I'd lean on what he's saying there because I can't go deep on that. But that's my understanding of the brain shutting down under hypoxia. But
Yep. And then your trousers actually squeeze your legs to push blood into your brain, don't they?
Yeah. So the more G, the air so G pant is a bladder that fills around your leg. It's an air bladder that squeezes together. So it squeezes your legs. I mean, really tight, in fact. And what happens is the air comes from the engine. It's quite hot air, but it goes into the G. So the more you pull a little weight next to the seat, drops down, allowing air to flow into your G pants. The more G's you pull, the more air goes in, and it can really squeeze you. And you just squeeze against that, and that keeps the blood up in the top body and into your brain, hopefully, for as long as you can. And you just fight against it. Just fight.
It sounds really physically demanding to fly one of these things. How long is I suppose it's a silly question. How long would you be in one of these jets, going out, doing a job, and coming back and landing?
An hour to an hour 15 normally.
And after that, are you knackered? is it as demanding as it sounds? It sounds to me like your body's being thrown all over the place.
It's not that you're. It's kind of weird when you come home and the wife says, "Let's go to Tesco's," because it's not really in your scan of like, "Let's go." But I think you're more tired. With hindsight, I think I was more tired than I realised. Now having been out of the service for 2 years, I think you're in a permanent sort of tired phase. And when you get to the weekend, you don't really want to do anything. I've noted Albert's comment here, which is really useful about taking oxygen from the heart isn't taking anything, it's pumping it, and that's fair. It's pumping it. Yeah, that one there. Yeah, just pumping it around. But yeah, so you get to the weekends and you don't really do anything. I think you're just in this permanent state of. I tell you, the thing is, when you go on holiday, you take a week off. It takes you 3 or 4 days just to get into that holiday mode, and then you've got to work back up again on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Sense. Yeah, yeah.
Know. So it's a bit of a. I don't miss it in that respect. I much more enjoy being out of it now, having done it for 20 years. But I'm glad I did it for 20 years. You know what I mean?
No, I totally understand that. Earlier on, right towards the beginning of the conversation, you were talking about being high up, and then you sort of suggested that you've done some low-flying bomb runs. What kind of heights are we talking about there? What height of what's the lowest you've been to the ground, and at what speeds? And you're going to have to give them in something like miles per hour, because no one knows what a knot is.
I will. Well, I can. It's a conversion of 1.14, but it doesn't matter. So, if you take, it depends. I mean, so the lowest we can fly in the UK is 100 feet, and the
why is that? Because of the vehicle? It's not called that. The aircraft, or legal reasons, or what? I mean, could you, in theory, actually go lower than that?
Well, you go down. If you found a flat piece over the sea, you can go down to 50 feet, can't you? You can do whatever over the sea.
Have you done that over the sea?
In Hawks, in little black Hawks out of Cold Rose. But the thing about it is, the lower you go, the more capacity it takes to fly at that height. So the more your brain has to work. So the less you can look out for other things like pterodactyls coming eating you with a silent P, or whatever it might be, or birds trying to hit you.
Because a slight change is a higher risk.
Yeah, death just happens faster when you're lower. So if you you've got to be over. So there's only 3 places in the UK you can fly down to 100 feet, and they're called the tactical training areas, and they're in mid Wales, up north somewhere. I don't know much about the north, and in Scotland. There's 3 parts of the country you can fly in the tactical training areas. They're within low flying areas, and in the low flying areas, which are all over the United Kingdom, I think there's probably 20 of them. You can fly down to 250 feet. And so most of the flying is done down to 250 feet, not necessarily at 250 feet, because there's hills and there's horses and there's masts, and you try and average between about.
Stab a horse with your airplane.
Horses are dicks. Horses aren't dicks for jets, by the way. I can see a horse. If a rider is wearing a fluorescent jacket, I can absolutely see the horse. I'm doing 420 knots, so 500 miles an hour at 250 feet. I see the horse. I'll bring the throttles back. Jets don't just stop. I'll just cruise over the horse. Horse is gone. I'll put the throttles up. Horse is fine. Horse and rider are fine. They never complain. Helicopters, horses go mad at. Horses like throw themselves on the back. They go and run. They kill people. They eat their rider because they hate helicopters. Because we all hate helicopters because helicopters are evil. So helicopters really annoy horses, but jets don't annoy horses because we're solid horses.
So you have you dropped? What is it? I don't want to keep saying bombs. What is it? Munition? What do you call it? Is it just bomb? Is it a bomb? Have you dropped? Yeah. It is just it's not. No.
Well, you get air ground missiles and bombs.
Is it a sortie when you go out and do that?
Yes.
So okay.
I love the way you probe the language of flying.
Well,
is it an aeroplane? Is it? Yeah, it's an aeroplane. Yeah. I love it. I love the way you do this. Yeah.
Right. So, what is the lowest you've gone on a sortie and dropped a bomb?
100 feet.
So when you drop the bomb, you were 100 foot above the ground.
A little parachute comes out the back of the bomb, and it slows it down so it doesn't blow up at the same time as I'm passing over the target.
No, right. And no, I trust. I'm trusting.
Are you sure? You don't look it up.
Hit all missile. I'm still struggling a little bit with, but and how do you know? Because what's the speed of sound?
631 point something miles an hour, I think.
Have you travelled at that?
Yeah, we've been over it, but my airplane, the Tornado, had it went up to about 0.92, I think it was, Mark 0.92, so 92% speed of sound. There we go. So that wasn't a supersonic airplane. You could get the Hawk supersonic in a dive, and then Typhoon supersonic, but I never flew Typhoon. It's a bit of non-event, really. You don't. We used to take a pair of wife's pants up with us and then go supersonic at night, always at night, just so you didn't annoy people. Like 4 a.m. on the sea away from Wales, so that you didn't get the sonic boom, couldn't be heard. And then used to give the wife supersonic
pants and say
supersonic pants.
Put your speed of sound G-string on, darling, tonight.
What we used to do though is used to swap over wife's pants. Used to go take the
Can we just call them knickers? Because your wife's pants.
I thought pants was a better thing to call them. I thought that was more respectful. Knickers.
Yeah, that's the problem. But respectful sex, you don't have an orgasm. You see?
I see. Yeah, it makes sense. Underwear.
Ask your wife later about her pants, and she won't.
She's got supersonic pants. She's got pants from all over the world. She's got red flag pants from exercises in North America. Knickers. You want me to call them knickers?
Yeah. Hang on. Let's ask. Chat. Scrubs.
Have a poll.
One for women wear pants.
Pants are trousers. Yes.
Yeah, but I think Americans might call them thongs.
Bloomers.
Oh no, thong they call flip flops, don't they? Yeah, they do.
I don't know what Americans call. What do Americans call women's underwear? This is a great channel to be on. I don't know how we've got.
I don't know what Americans call women's underwear.
I've never thought of it. I've never thought to ask. Have you got any Americans? Panties. Yeah, here we go.
Panties. That's quite sexy, isn't it?
You know they're called bloomers, really.
No,
I like the term bloomers.
If I had a woman and she took her clothes off and had bloomers on, those clothes would be going back on.
Undergarments. I'm with John. That's respectful.
I don't want respectful, nor the women. Hello, love. Do you want something respectful tonight? No. I want you to smash my head on the window and just tell me what's going to happen, you dirty fighter pilot. Brilliant. Right. Have you ever trained at Mach Loop? I don't know what it is.
Yeah. We used to go in all the time, in fact, because all the photographers sit down there and they're nice people and they ask us to come down. So
it's a location, is it, Mach Loop?
Yeah, it's Machynlleth Loop. Dalgethlu is a town to the north, and Machynlleth is a town to the south of a loop that goes around a sort of mountainous valley there. It's in a circle.
Okay.
So you enter at Dalgethlu, which is pointing towards the coast. You flow down south. It takes you about 20, 30 seconds, and then you work around to the east and back up to the north. And you climb out the valley as you approach Dalgethlu again, and trucks will be coming down the road, and you can flash your nose light at them, and the trucks will flash back.
Wow!
So yeah,
this is cool.
It's like you're trucking, I'm trucking, we're all trucking. Just doing good speed.
Got some weird suggestions here. Clogs. Take your clogs off, love. Easy with your pantaloons. I think we've got another question down here.
I had a call sign. We don't have call sign.
Panties and thongs. Thank you, Joe, you undead cookie monster.
Sensible. Yeah.
Let me just check my entropy. We don't.
Thongs can't be nice. Surely thongs. I never.
Well, they call flip. You know, a Frenchman invented flip flops. Philippe Filot, and that's where that comes. That's.
That's like Hitler, is it? That's like Hitler. Yeah.
It's much like Hitler. I was trying to get you. It was a long shot. Right, hang on. I want to get back to you flying 100 foot off the ground because my mum's garden is 100 foot, not her lady garden. There's no. 100 foot. So I know how high you are, and you've gone. Well, you don't because the enemy can hear you. Okay, we cleared that up earlier.
Exactly like that. Exactly.
But the munition, yeah, the munition drops. Now, how do you know you've had a hit or a successful run, a successful sortie?
Yeah, that's fine. So if you're at an air weapons range, like tonight, the reason I'm going to leave in 15 minutes is because we have to go. I'm teaching at an air weapons range tonight on this game we play, and the guys will be going up there. There'll be someone in the control tower, which will be me in effect, and I'll score them all as they come through the target. I'll say your bomb was 100 foot at 12 o'clock, something like that, which meant they were slightly long. The bomb's gone long over the target and it's hit. Now, if it's a precision guided munition and I'm dropping that from an aircraft at height, say 20,000 feet, I'd have a targeting pod and I can actually watch that bomb impact myself. So I can then say whether that was a proper hit or not, because it will follow a laser in or it'll be GPS delivered. So GPS guidance all the way in. But for dumb munitions, and we train dumb munitions, but we don't tend to drop dumb munitions. These are free fall weapons, which we call retard or slick in effect, which
and
means
these
that
are the parachutes.
Yeah, so those are little CB cluster munitions that might float down. But when you drop a retarded munition out, if I was to drop it at 100 foot or 300 or 450, whatever it might be, I think the guys today are dropping it 250 feet. Then when they drop that, if it didn't have a little parachute out the back, it would follow the jet at the same time. Like the bomb comes off, and it would go bang over the target at the same time and frag their jet. So a little parachute comes out as it drops, and it goes, oh, there's my fingers, and it goes all the way back like that as they fly away, and then it goes boom down here. Whiteboards are easier. Whiteboards are easier than trying to work out hands. So yeah, that's it really. And it sounds a lot more. It's not that fast because you've just done it for your entire career. So
Understood.
I mean, I'm still heroes.
No, without a doubt. Have you ever been in the air on a sortie or something? Maybe some did you do reconnaissance stuff, or were you just looking?
Yeah, we did actually. Yeah.
And then out here somewhere in the wing mirror.
Yeah, there is.
There's the old enemy suddenly on your tail. And
when you ask questions, Chris, it makes me laugh. It's like you ask a question like, will there ever be born a boy who can swim faster than a shark? That kind of thing. And it's great because I can see the evolving of the question in it. I'm like, okay, he's got it. He's there with it. So it's brilliant. I love it.
My whole channel.
I love it. Yeah, it's brilliant. I love it. It's brilliant. And I must admit, I can't remember what you said. Oh, the enemy I'm flying along, and enemy goes, oi, oi, it is there.
No, yeah, you've literally, you're doing your thing, and it's all going well, and then there's enemy combatants in the air, and that you weren't expecting.
Allegedly, this may or may not have happened.
Oh,
allegedly, I was over the Iranian border.
Hang on a minute. Check the fuck out of this, you lucky bastards. This is actually happening.
No, it may not have done.
No, it didn't. I mean this, not that. Right, Tim's lying, but,
I was on a border with Iraq and Iran, let's say.
Don't name places. That'll probably be safer.
Mountainous region, very sandy. Very sandy. And we had 2 enemy jets launched at us from a long way away.
Well, no, you can't rush through this story. This is the stuff that dreams are made out of.
Kind of it.
No, it's not. So how many of you were there in the air?
There were 2 of our tornadoes. I was leading a mate of mine and on the wing, and there was just 2 of us.
Hello, John. Yeah, we're flying now. It's all good. Over. Yeah, we're flying good. And then what is that? Come on, just you give me the truth. I'll make it a story.
Good.
Together, we make entertainment. All right.
Like that. And it is YouTube after all.
A lot longer than you, Mr. Davies.
You've done this longer than me.
Right. What is that moment like when you suddenly think, oh, hang on, they're here to take me out the sky, essentially?
Yeah, it was our fault, to be fair. We were in the wrong place. Well, we weren't in the wrong place. We're in the place that we're supposed to be in.
No, I get that, but that doesn't change anything. I'm just thinking.
No, it doesn't. And we didn't have any. We didn't have any air missiles on us, and it wasn't even that game. It's like you're just in a bad place. You just got to stop being in a bad place. We had time. And we'll come to the end of a task, and we're just told, look, you guys probably need to go home now because I think it was 50 miles away, 60 miles away. Why
were you there if you shouldn't have been there? Why
Allegedly, we're doing reconnaissance work.
I don't mean there. I mean, you said you took too much time. Why didn't you do either your bomb drop or your reconnaissance and get the fuck out?
Well, we were the reconnaissance. The reconnaissance was one of our tasks over to the east of the country, and it was just very close to the other country. Alleged, it was very close.
I get you. So you might allegedly you've gone into someone else's airspace.
Allegedly, I never said that. Also, it's like where is that boundary, right? Where is that boundary? I mean, they're right to protect their airspace, absolutely, 100%. We're not in it. We're not in it technically.
But you're not out of it.
Well, you can say whatever you want, but I'll have a lawyer here and we'll dispute that. You know what I'm saying?
I've got mine here.
I ain't going no jail. I'm not going to go to jail time. Not again, Chris. Not going down again.
But what's that feeling? What's that feeling? Hang on.
Oh, it's just you kind of expect it in a way. You're just kind of waiting for it to happen anyway, because you're thinking you got a big aircraft up there or whatever. You got ground control that's going to, or the AWACS is going to tell you what the air picture is happening around you.
Ground control to main.
All that, and they just call you up and they're just like, yeah, you probably don't want to be there too much longer, and they give you this mileage out, but they're carrying missiles. They can fire a long way away, and they're probably justified in doing so. So, we finished the reconnaissance and then we just ran away really, really, really quickly, like super quickly.
What was interesting in when you said you didn't have weaponry to deal with that situation, you weren't kitted out for that. Why wouldn't you be?
Well, because I don't want to start a war with someone. I mean, we're not there for that. That would be a huge diplomatic incident. I'm not going to turn around and fire at someone when, I can't remember how Top Gun starts or somewhere in an Indian, whatever it is. It's that kind of something that happened. I think it's a Dougie Masters, Chappie Sinclair, Iron Eagle thing, isn't it? It happened behind, it's in a land far away. I'm not going to go and shoot people that are just doing their job properly. I'd be doing the same thing for those dudes. I'd be like, dude, you're sitting pretty close to our country here, with a reconnaissance pod on. I mean, we're not even looking at them. We're looking at pipelines and stuff, but just to make sure they haven't been eroded or fractured or targeted. But it's, I get it. I'd be an F-14 or whatever coming at me as well. Cleopatra coming at you, bringing the noise, and then the other people fly away. That's what you do. They fly away.
So the difference between you being armed would change the gravity of the international incident if it. And they know that. They know whether you've got weaponry on you that is.
No, they don't. They don't know. No, they would probably think that we didn't have air-to-air engagement weaponry because we didn't have an air-to-air threat in our country. There was no air-to-air threat because we had permissive airspace, which meant that the airspace was ours. And that's what we're trying to achieve in the battlefield for the troops on the ground, of course, is permissive airspace. They can operate freely without anyone trying to drop bombs on them because we guard that airspace. However, the countries around us, that's not the case. We're not allowed into those countries. And of course, if you do back up against one of those countries, they're within their rights to come and challenge you about it. And that's what happened. And absolutely fine. They're well within that right. And I'm just sitting there. I'm the dude just putting his hands up and pretending everything's okay. I'm going to go away now. And we did, just went away.
And is that
quickly?
Is that via communication or is it via action? Do they say, what the fuck are you doing? Or obviously not in that language. Or do you think, right, they're on us, we shouldn't be here, let's make it clear that we're leaving?
So the radar warning receiver in the airplane, I have a thing in the airplane where I can tell what electromagnetic energy is being pointed at me, and I can tell that radar being pointed at me comes from whatever the aircraft might be, and it did.
Shit.
So you can't really tell a range on it, but you can just tell that there is that aircraft looking at you. And of course, you haven't seen it before. My wife's calling, I do apologize. And so you just kind of that's being told to us. And also then there's another big picture who is looking with a big radar at all the aircraft, and they can give you a range to these aircraft and the speed they're doing as well, which is quite quick. So it's all going to happen quickly. And you just don't want to be there, so you just leave. And that's acceptable. You just run away bravely.
Okay. So they'd rather not have an engagement unless they're incredibly hostile. If I was to front up like a double-hard ninja and start lobbing missiles at them, you kind of said, all right, then they would engage you.
If I turn my aspect hot to them, so if I point my nose towards them, like they're coming at me like this. If I all of a sudden go, if I'm doing this, then I'm cool. If I start going, it's two guys in a bar, isn't it? It's guys going, what's up? Someone's going to get hit, right? Someone's going to get hit. Whereas the dude that's kind of like got his head down and backing away and just turning his shoulders away, he's that non-confrontational thing. I mean, there's no point me pointing my jet at their jet. I'm in the wrong anyway. They've got bigger missiles than me. I haven't even got any missiles on. I've just got bombs on a targeting pod. So I'm not going to sit there and go, come on in, bring it.
Open the can and throw your eyes
out. Yeah, I'm going to get slapped. So run away. But that's it. Don't get me wrong. You train for that sort of stuff. But it's interesting when it happens for real because it happens quickly, really, really fast, actually.
Tim, I could speak to you forever, and when I get to England, we arrange that we'll meet up. It would be wonderful. You said you've got something to do. I don't want you having to rush off and do that, so I'm going to let you go. But honestly, an absolute pleasure speaking to you. The chat has been loving it. You know,
Yeah, I love the chat.
every other comment is like, this is great stuff. You're a fascinating bloke. I did actually want to get onto the fast jet performance stuff, so you will be getting an email 4 or 5 months, and I'll say we'll talk about your motivational speaking, and I'll get you back on and ask about dropping bombs again.
You never call. You never write these letters anymore.
I do. You just don't know,
Honestly.
because me and the missus keep it between ourselves.
I just think you've got some other. I think you've got some other guests that you see more. That's all.
I have actually.
Yeah, I bet you do. Yeah, exactly. Well, look, I think your people down here on the right are amazing. So they're really great people. But
look what they're saying. Look at these.
love to
comments.
come back.
Look
Yeah,
at
love
all
to come
these
back. And you asked me about the jet flying and stuff. I teach now in a virtual environment. I teach now in a simulator, in the sky, in the cloud. So we'll talk about that a bit later, because then people that are interested in learning to fly these jets, because that's what I did for real, I taught, they come in, they just get taught by me in the virtual world.
Right, just before you go there, while we're on that, do you know about Sky King?
Is this? No, I don't. I'm not even going to. Sky King.
He was a hero to many internet people. A few years ago, this bloke, I think if I remember it right, the chat might. This will be the last month.
I'm interested.
The Sky King. Thank you, Pax Max. Timmy.
Shadowlands represent.
There you go. Great guest, top lad. This Tim bloke. Respect. No, he's how much mandom do you use? No,
yeah, exactly.
You do know what it is.
Buy it from Tesco's. Put it in your beard. Put the mandem in your
Can't
beard.
buy it in Tesco's. Good
Can't you buy
Lord.
Tesco's? Can't buy Tesco's. What can we do now? I don't know what the rules are.
Import my mandom from China, Japan. Right. This geezer, he used to work as a cleaner,
right?
At like an like a, what do you call it, where all the planes land? Airport.
That might be a good one. Yeah, that might. There might be other names for it. Maybe other names.
But military airplanes,
right?
And he got pissed off with everything, right? And he'd been working there for a while, and one day he just went. If anyone in the chat remember what the plane was? He got in a plane, shut the lid, took the handbrake off, turned the ignition, and got the thing up in the air.
Yeah,
and he was flying it around, and they were talking to him.
Sad story, that one. It was a baggage handler was it Seattle, or was on the West Coast somewhere? And he had I remember that. I think I wrote something about this dude. Can't remember his name now. I think hadn't he fallen out with his...
the 2018 Horizon Air Q4.
Yeah, didn't he fly into the sea in the end? He was doing really well.
Yeah, but they said to him, "Look, we can help you land it."
That's
He went,
right.
"You can help me land it, then you can lock me up for the rest of my life." He said, "Nah." He said, "That ain't gonna happen." Yeah. It was a suicide mission, but it was so heroic. It was the stuff of memes. And there's also the barefoot burglar. He was a 14-year-old kid. He didn't have any money. He was on the run for about 2 years from the FBI and the likes. He was fascinated by planes, but he had no money. He broke into these people's house, got their credit card, ordered like books on how to fly like Cessnas or whatever, had it delivered to their house, broke back into their house to get the book on how to do it. He's 14, something like that, 14, 15, read it, and then went and nicked a plane and flew it down to Barbados from America. And
You do get these stories. I mean, don't get me wrong. They're actually inherently sad, of course, but
without a doubt. There's
in a way, it's still person living his best life whilst they can, sort of thing. But it's I remember the one in Seattle that we talked about here was particularly sad, I think, because the guy, I think he had a mental health condition. I'll have to go reading this now because I did write something about it. I remember being really, a bit annoyed about the fact that he hadn't been looked after. That was it. I think they were all losing their jobs or something, I think. And the union there had been pretty poor for a long period of time. And this guy just flipped. And it was really sad, I think. He had a girlfriend.
Race issues with it. He wasn't happy with what was happening in America. And it just...
Like a nice dude, Yeah, nice dude. Yeah.
But pretty bad. I think people really sort of took to him because the way he spoke while they were trying to bring him down, he didn't seem off his head or panicky. He was just like, "Look, I'm done. I'm done."
Yeah.
And I think it's not something to be, it is a tragedy, but
He was a broken guy, Spence, wasn't he? I remember that. When I read it, I remember thinking that could be any one of us.
That's kind of what I'm saying, because
You're doing a job. Yeah, you're doing a job.
Yeah, and you know, yeah, that's it. He was called the Sky King, and he was really taken on by a certain sort of wing of the internet. Not wing, that makes it sound more political than it was. Well, it kind of was, but not really. It was the people into the meme magic and that. All right, Tim, thank you very much. I will hit you up again. I'll dig out a video of the Sky King, because there's actually footage of him moving this thing around. It's the first time he ever got in it.
Michael says something there. I remember that. Didn't he say, yeah, if I do a barrel roll, will you give him his job? And then he was on the radio going, no, you won't, because I'm white. And I think he'd gone through that whole thing.
That's it. There you
go. I remember this now. And I remember at the time I was really angry about it, because I remember you could have done something with that guy. Like, he had a lot of potential. He's in a dead end job. It was like a Bruce Springsteen song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like wasted opportunity, the working man being stamped on by the. And I don't want to get into, you know what I mean? I get animated about this now, but. It's it was just
this is what your work is about. This is why I really wanted to go there.
I'm just trying to get men some purpose back in their lives, and when you do, you see that change, and it's so powerful. It's just to watch it is amazing, and what it does to the family and relationships get so much better, and you know it just does. And a lot of guys just get beaten down, and I understand why, because it's not a man's world right now, is it? It's everyone else's world apart from men, especially if you're a white dude. It's just, and I don't want to be that guy, because I know, you know, don't get me wrong, crikey.
No. I don't think there's no apologies there, because you're right. You're right.
But no one's complaining. We're not getting that victim mentality. It just means you've got to work a bit harder.
Doing something about it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you're doing.
All a big family. You know what I mean?
So
we're going to save the world.
Yeah, we will do that next time, Tim. We will talk about that. I have put it now. I'll put your fast jet performance back in the chat, but I will put the link in the description. I just forgot this morning because I also got the time wrong. Tim, send my regards to your good wife, and I will talk to you soon. Look after yourself, and good luck with the business.
Thanks. I really appreciate it. Okay, I'll come and see you. Thank you all the guys down here. It's really good to watch. We've reading some of this stuff. You've got a really good crowd. They're not as mad as you are, though. I think some of them might be, but you should be right. All right.
Take care, Tim.
See you, Chris. Cheers, buddy.
What an absolute legend. I mean, TD in the chat for Timothy Davies. I mean, you know, Tim gets plenty of views. He's got very little to gain out of coming on my little channel, and he comes on, and that, you know, what's that? Nearly 2 hours. And when you get guests on, some are harder than others. That is effortlessly. It's easier than saying what it is. It's effortless. I could just sit there and talk to Tim and listen to Tim forever. I mean, what a guy! And I do want you. The show isn't over, people. I mean, I imagine the numbers will start plummeting, but I would like to show you a bit more of his website, because you know he's teaching people to fly. You know, and with that comes a bit more self-respect, and with that comes a bit of, you know, you heard him say it. You know what people like Tim are doing with men, with all this ridiculous toxic masculinity and all that, is basically saying to them, you're a man. Be it. For fuck's sake, be it. There's no shame in being a man. You know, there's no fucking shame in being a man. Yeah, I mean, look at all these things. Look, why 99% of people don't ever get what they want. Don't die at work. How to banish boredom and anxiety. Why the best fighter pilots are often the biggest failures. You know, Sanctuary, not just the home of lost fighter pilots. Loads of really interesting stuff. And I really did mean to get into that. But, you know, I'm a teenager, little teenage boy at heart. And Cheryl, I don't think I did. I will have a look. And if it's not here, it should be in the entropy listings. So let me just refresh my entropy. Sorry, Cheryl, it would appear I didn't. Cheryl Peters, apologies. Oh, bollocks. Oh, hang on. Looks like I missed a couple. But, you know, I will occasionally miss a couple, especially when I've got a guest on, because I'm trying to pay attention to them. Pax Max said, when Tim Davies is on, time dilation happens. And Cheryl Peters said, dropped £2 in and said, 2 for you too, Tim. So there you go, Cheryl Peters and Pax Max. Sorry that I missed them when they were going up, but there's a lot goes on behind the scenes when I'm looking up things and trying to get things to show you. But that was incredible, and I thank you. Oh, there you go. I got that one, so I might be able to find yours actually, Cheryl Peters. I think I hadn't refreshed it. It would appear I have. Hang on, what order are they in? Nah, sorry, Cheryl, it went off the screen. Cheryl Peters. I want to put out a massive thank you to the Scrubs because you're, I definitely, nice one, Anglo. That's amazing. I'm lining them up. I've got Semi-God coming on. I've got this potential secret guest who's just gonna, ironically, fly in maybe one day. I am lining a load up, and believe me, I love having guests on because you try talking for 4 hours a day. It's really nice when someone else is. I'll see if I can find a bit of Sky King, John. But the trouble is, sometimes their documentaries that go on. Here, I've got one. So this is the story about the Sky King that we were just talking about. But thank you lot very much because, I know what guests are like. He'll be looking in the chat and the amount of people saying, this is fantastic. What quality content is this? People are, that means a lot. So thank you very much. I haven't looked at Telegram today, Rags, because I had a guest on, so I didn't need video content or anything. I might have a look later, but I'm shattered. It's nearly 1 o'clock here. I had a very heavy day at work. I've got 14 work messages to deal with after this stream. But let's have a look at the Sky King. It's 3 minutes and 30, and it's for a millennial poster child. But I think it's a good thing to play now because this is what we were just talking about. The bloke who just had enough, got into an aeroplane and fucking flew it. Give me an audio check, people. Go.
Hi, I'm Bieber Russell, and I'm a ground service agent. That means I lift a lot of bags. Like a lot of bags. So many bags. Look at all them bags. Ooh, a purple one.
I think we're trying to do a barrel roll, and if that goes good, now just go nose down. And
so that's him. That's the bloke who nicked the aeroplane doing a barrel roll. Oh dear. Oh, he made it. This was the first time he'd ever got in a plane. There goes my community.
Only for a moment, and the moment's gone.
Hey, you think if I land this successfully, Labs will give me a job as a pilot?
Look, he asked if they'd give him a job.
I think they would give you a job of doing anything if you could pull this off.
Yeah, right.
Dust in the wind. All the is dust in the wind.
He really caught the imagination, though, at the time.
Just flying the plane around.
See that little accompaniment, little bit of accompaniment there.
Man, I played video games before, so I know what I'm doing a little bit. Hey, I want the court.
Oh, come on, people. Can you not just hear what he said then? You've got to give him respect. I've played video games, so I know what I'm doing a little bit. I'm with you, Jeff. I'm with you. Yeah, and that. But, Yep, absolutely, RMF. That was his plan. He knew they were going to lock him up. Look, can you see that little fighter they've got trailing him now? Anyway, listen to what he says. It's kind of heartbreaking.
You seem comfortable with that?
Oh, hell yeah, it's a blast, man. I played video games before, so I know what I'm doing a little bit. Hey, I want the coordinates of that orca with the, the mama orca with the baby. I want to go see that guy.
Dust in the wind.
Wow.
All we are is dust in the wind.
Yes, man.
Oh,
Yes, Aramas.
I got
That
a lot of
sums it
people that
up.
care about me. It's going to disappoint them to hear that I did this. I would like to apologize to each and every one of them.
The Sky King. Bless you, my friend.
Damn it, Andrew! People's lives are at stake here.
Now, Rich, don't say stuff like that.
Nah, I didn't do it. I don't want to hear no one.
Oh.
I just want you to whisper sweet nothings into my ear.
Oh, when Wojak actually gets a tear in your eye.
Hang on. Nothing lasts forever but the earth and sky. It slips away. And all your money, one another minutes by. Dust in the
I wouldn't know how to land it. I wasn't really planning on landing it.
all we are is dust in the wind.
I wasn't really planning on landing it. Yeah, me too, man.
Everything is dust.
Yeah.
Just a broken guy. Got a few screws loose, I guess. Never really knew it until now.
Yeah. Never really knew him. No one did. Poor cunt just threw bags around for a living and watched his country falling apart around him.
Everything's peachy clean.
Yeah, there you go. Well, there you go, people. It's been an absolute pleasure. Next time I get Tim on, I really want to get into what he's doing, working with men, you know, letting them reclaim their masculinity in a culture that does so much to just pull it out of them and make them feel ashamed for it. To make you feel ashamed for who you are, for being a man. That's the environment we're in. And, a lot of people have got plenty of mouth. Very few people do things. And Tim, after 20 years doing what he'd done in the Jets, he's set that up and he's helping men come to terms with the fact that they're men and they can be that. And it's acceptable. And not only acceptable, it's fucking necessary. Because believe me, society will crumble without men. And you know who will suffer most? Women. That's the mad irony about the whole thing. Well done, feminism. You fucked it up again. I'll never forgive those bastards. People, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to play us out in the usual way. If you want to chuck a couple of quid in the grift, you've got a few minutes left. That would be nice. I will see you tomorrow. Scrubs Music Festival. Tomorrow afternoon show. We've got music that has been sent in by all the Scrubs. It's going to be an absolute blast. Ta-da! Sound check, someone. Yeah. For sure. About 5 months.
Everyone knows I'm gonna be
good call, Baz. Great call. And children, of course.
All my friends
you've got to watch it, Skins, guys. It's a classic. It's a great stream. It's an absolute cracker.
Give a buddy one last break. Can't go on taking all a man can take. Life is a curse, it only gets worse in the world. Don't watch you drown. Maybe my mind will fail to ever find the point. I'm going
Thank you, Andrew.
deep down.
Well, not really. He just said about being a man. I thought it was quite relevant and strangely well timed.
I'm going deep down.
Nice one, John.
Gonna lay my head on the riverbed. Looking back, I rejected.
Yeah, that's when the music show is tomorrow.
Woman
Oh, actually, is it Wednesday? Did I say Wednesday? When do you want it? Tomorrow or Wednesday? Ah, fucking hell, Mumford's done me up again. Why does that keep happening? The exact same thing happened this morning. Don't worry, we'll carry on where we left off. Shouldn't be too much else. There you go. My girlfriend will be here Wednesday though, and that music stream's going to go on for hours.
Gonna lay my head on a riverbed. Looking back, I rejected every place I stayed. A woman says I'm lying in the bed I've made. She says warriors don't give up before.
Thank you to everyone who donated. Thank you to everyone who joined in the chat. You all said some great stuff. Thank you to Rags and Moslab, absolute legends, looking after the place. All right, SUBSTACK Wednesday. Sorry, people, SUBSTACK Wednesday. Don't really know. It's whatever you want it to be. I could tell you some stories about Jerry Rafferty. Really could as well. Apparently it's going to be Wednesday. No, I think it's Wednesday. I said it would be Wednesday, so I've got to stick to it. Sorry, people. Well, we did have a monsoon Pax Max, which was kind of bad timing. No, it's Wednesday. Wednesday's fine. Wednesday's fine. I'll just have to explain to my missus. No, it's going to be Wednesday. Cheers, Bushy. Nice one, John. Yeah, good point, actually. It must be fucking terrifying. Agree with you, Andrew. See you later, MSM. See you later, MSM. Motherfucking MSM. See you later, CNN. See you later, MSM. Da 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 da. See you later, CNN. All right, people, what an absolute pleasure that was. I really enjoyed it, and I've still got a few hours to get to the supermarket, finish a day's work, and get some work in on my novel. Now, go on, Foxtrot Oscar down your own end, or I'll send Tim Davies on a sortie to drop some munitions upon thee.